Good evening, everybody. This is Rings That Bind, and I'm thrilled to always do this with you every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Now, remember that this show is brought to you by BRIDGEAFRIQUE magazine, home of BLISS Incorporated, and also Panacea Ville International. The aim of Rings That Bind is to help couples coming up and those who may be struggling with one thing or the other to see and hear stories of other couples who have gone ahead or who are doing well in their relationship. Learn from them, get inspired so that they stay through, fight through the challenges they are having together as a team and come up victorious on the other side. That's what we do here. Our aim is to inspire you to have that good marriage because you deserve it. And because of that, we bring in different couples to share their different experiences. We are sure that from one or two of them, you would learn something that will be definite for you, something that you can use to improve or to maintain your relationship as you go ahead. Today, we have a guest or a couple as our guest. And I'm thrilled to have this couple here because I've been gossiping them behind them. Now I know them a bit, so when we get in, you know why I have been gossiping. Please join me. Welcome Dinma and Nedum Nwobi as they join us together. The couple they've been married for over 19 years. They will soon be 20 years in marriage, and they are blessed with 4 lovely children. Help me welcome Mr. and Mrs. Nwobi to Rings That Bind. Hello, are you there?
It's our pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be here today.
It's our pleasure always.
Yeah. So before we go ahead, I want our viewers to just get to meet you personally. You tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. So Oga has passed it to me.
Ladies first.
All right. So like the intro said, I am Dinma Nwobi, and I am first the queen of happiness and human flourishing, because I wake up every day to just add some joy and meaning to my life and then support my family, my clients, and the whole of humanity to just make the most of this once in a lifetime life. And so with regards to that, I work as the Director of Studies at the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, where we're raising competent family life practitioners working across Africa and all over the globe. And I also work as a positive psychology trained coach to also help people increase their flourishing. And currently right now, my baby that keeps me awake every day is the Happify Humanity Project, which is aimed at making the tools for optimal mental and emotional well-being available and accessible to as many Africans as possible. And like you see, I'm married to this handsome, amazing man, and together we're raising 4 adorable children.
Wow, nice to meet you, Ma.
Okay, my name is Nedum Nwobi. I'm an entrepreneur and also a family life coach. And I also help growing entrepreneurs to build systems that will enable them flourish in their business. And also, we are into development, building real estate, family-friendly estates that will enable families to flourish. And one of the most important things I do is to make my wife happy and also my family. And in our own contribution to also model what a marriage and family life should be.
Wow, interesting. I'm so excited that we're having this conversation. I know it's going to be a very interesting one. I'm looking forward to it. Now, as it's our tradition, before we get into the question, I want to ask you one particular question. I'm itching to ask you, but before then, we have a tradition. When couples come here, we want to know your story of love, how you met, what the attraction was, and what made you decide to settle down with each other.
Okay. Our love story is very funny and unique, and it started in church fellowship. We are Catholics and we belong to a set of group, Catholic Charismatic Renewal, where we spur our faith through our gifts and our passion in scripture reading and prayer. And we did what we call Life in Spirit Seminar, an outpouring of the Holy Spirit where we are empowered to use our God-given spiritual gifts to evangelize and raise armies for Christ. And this is where I think I was probably around 53 years or so. And she had just finished her secondary school. So it happens that we work in the same community. And one of the things that actually make us come together is during projects and every other thing that has to do with passion for Christ. Because of our age bracket, we are always in the youth arm of that community. And so this is part of how we grew to know each other. So when I was searching for a life partner, I have already written some of the things I think I should be looking for somebody that will enable me to build a vision and mission. So I really started from my hometown and from some family of friends. And I never knew that what I was looking for was just closely around me. So with a few disappointments in some kind of relationship, and I suddenly looked back and saw that, there's somebody beside me that will work closely on so many things. And through this working together, I could see she has the attributes of actually what I want in a wife. But you know, sometimes you could be looking far and what you are missing or searching is close beside you. And like joke, I joke, that's how it clicked, and we start becoming more friendlier, and our conversation grew from there.
Wow. Ma, is there anything you want to add? What was the attraction for you?
My husband has said, so I think ours started from friendship, and then of course with working together, we came to, experience each other's values, each other's beliefs, each other's perspective to life, and then there were some similarities and shared vision. Again, for me, was also the fact that there were key things that I also saw in him. One was that sense of non-judgmental spirit. So like he said, because we were in the youth ministry together, even then when we had not even started talking about marriage, but there was something significant that happened. So one sister in our prayer meeting got pregnant outside of wedlock. And so most people just ostracized her. That even the supposed elders of the community were looking at you somehow if they saw you around her. So like, I didn't have that ideology, like church is for everybody, even the sinner and saints. And for me, my ideology was that, okay, yeah, she may have fornicated, she got pregnant, but she chose to keep her baby. What if somebody got pregnant and terminated it? We wouldn't know, and all of us would be here waving holy hands. So so I embraced her, irrespective of what every other person was saying. And I did not do it secretly, like I was openly there. So I would visit her, but on one particular day, I visited her, and I also saw that Nedum came to visit her and was openly also extending friendship to her. So that made me say, okay, this person shares love for humanity like I do, that somebody may have done wrong does not mean that we just throw the baby and the bathwater away. So that was one thing, that's accepting spirit. The second for me was the sense of teachable spirit. So whilst we were communicating, I noticed that he was like, I keep telling people that till now, maybe I've not met the people, but my husband is one person that I know that puts into action the things he learns, even the books he reads, and is quick to listen to another perspective. And if that other perspective seems to make superior arguments beyond the perspective he currently holds, is not so somebody that is so stuck in my way. So I call him, he has a teachable spirit and he practicalizes. And lastly, I guess, is the love for learning. Because even whilst we were together, I love to read books. I love to listen to music, Christian music, like deep worship and praise. And then we would share some tapes. So I saw that we had something in common, and he really loved to read books, and we'll talk about it. And like he said, like joke, here we are, 19 plus years later.
Wow, fantastic. I love stories. They are always so beautiful. They keep me smiling and blushing, especially when you find people who have not, they didn't just experience the love experience, but they have grown through it and they are still enjoying it years later. So now to the question I've been itching to ask you, and this is something I've gossiped about you to people that share that at least I know are in your circle, and we know each other. And that is this your fun and happiness thing. So I want to ask, has it always been there? Was it something you started your marriage and relationship with? By the way, our listener, this couple would dance together. They rock their lives. They enjoy themselves. You will see them laughing, playing, dancing, doing different stuff together. And it's so genuine. It's not one of those people that do it outside and then inside there's something else happening. So I want to ask, has it always been this way? Or was there some point in your relationship, maybe something happened or an experience or a learning came through that made you make that change?
I think from onset, we have over years grew in the culture of expressing happiness and resilience in the things that come along our way. And for me, like I said, we grew within the faith-based ministry. And when I visit the elders and the mentors of those days, and I go to their family, I see a different person in ministry and another quite different person at home, where you come to visit them, see what their marriage has become. And I think it wasn't a reflection of what I think God says about marriage, which is so beautiful. And they even told us sometimes that don't worry, once you marry, before you know it, you just be like brothers and sisters and life goes. So I didn't like what I see. So I think the most important thing we did was going into research to see, is there something we are missing or we are not being taught about expressing happiness and genuine happiness in a Christian marriage? And that led us to a lot of reading and research, and we realized that one of the most powerful tools that we must have is to create a joint or harmonized vision, which will be a propeller of how we choose intentionally to design our marriage to give us the kind of reality we envisioned right from the onset. And that makes us craft our family vision that signifies happiness. And since then, we begin to learn the science and the skills. It's not just about the dancing and all. There's a skill to all those things. And that's actually helped us to create a pathway that what people always see is something that is genuine in our relationship.
Wow.
In addition to what my husband has said, so if from our story, you will notice that we started as friends. And as friends, we always had gists. We always had things to share because we have a lot in common. So the interest I have, thankfully, he has some shared interest in family life, in youth empowerment. So we have a lot of things in common. So I'll say that made our gisting and being together fun. Well, all right, so that's one. Secondly, like my husband have said, we right from when we got married, we have intentionally discussed how we want our home to be, even from when we were dating, right? So what would you like? What would you like? I would say, hey, hey, hey. And then my husband would say that when we were not even dating, that my mother used to have a shop. And so I'll be in my mother's shop, that when he's driving past, you just be hearing me talking, gisting, talking, that I like to, So I'm family oriented and I like to connect with people. And then I meet somebody who is also family oriented, who does not like to talk too much, but likes to be hearing me talk. So sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm not going to talk this one, you talk today, So we just started from there, and we genuinely enjoy each other's company. So we're just doing what comes naturally. And then in addition to it, as we evolved over the years, and so sometimes when people ask me the question, I just show them our family vision and core values. Part of our family core values is fun, is creativity. And how else do you live fun and creativity when it's not expressed in what you do? So just to conclude that when we are playing, when we're doing all of the things we're doing that because we're friends and because we enjoy each other's company, and we're just simply living our family values.
Wow, interesting. So that's just you just buttressed something, the importance of finding common interests among couples. Some people get married and they don't have anything of common interest at all. The only thing they know, or they know about each other, is that they have attraction, and probably sexual attraction and all. No friendship, no common grounds. It makes it difficult to keep the relationship going years later. It's like every other thing, because friendship is the foundation, is what holds everything together. And once friendship breaks, it's hard to keep the other things together. That's why friendship is so important. Now, if you don't mind, I want to ask you, can you tell us a bit about your family vision? Because a lot of people don't even know that a family should have a vision, that there's something like that. I usually use the word a purpose, family purpose, but you use the word vision. Can you share with us some aspects of your family vision and your core values as a family?
Okay, all right. So when you could call it purpose, you could call it vision. The central idea is, who are we as a family? How do we want to show up in life? What do we want to spend our days doing? And just to tie it up is, what do we want to be known for? And what value particularly do we want to bring to humanity? So many times I hear people say, oh, we're a godly family, this and that. And it's fine. But godly family that is charged to do what? What will humanity benefit from your family? So if we look at it that way, that's what it is. And so for us, I'll just read it, because the concept of having a family vision and values is so important to the direction of your family, because every other thing stems from that. So for us at the Dinma and Nedum Nation, our family vision is, our family is a model of bliss, where happy citizens are raised to influence our society. So that also would show how, beyond just hobby and night, you see our children, there's that sense of joy. We are all doing things together to improve our mental and emotional well-being, and also sense of meaning. Then our family mission statement is, we're a happy family on a mission to create an atmosphere of bliss where the best of us finds expression. We live intentionally, radiating love, fun, friendship, and a sense of belonging as we seek to raise other happy families. It will interest you to know that sometimes we just do social experiments and we ask people, so when you think of Dinma and Nedum Nation, what comes to your mind? And even little children, and they say, oh, whenever I go to their house, I don't want to leave, and blah, blah, blah. You get that? Even during COVID, people were asking post-COVID if they can come and spend weekend in our house with their families so that they can just learn how to be this vibrant. Because COVID gave more people the opportunity to get to know us, because we're enjoying ourselves and posting on social media, and they're like, hey, in this lockdown, all right? So our values are godliness, fun, creativity, empathy, competence, and impact. And that just underscores how we show up every day in our lives, the conversations we have with our children, and everything else.
And like humans are goal-directed in their behavior, and whatever we do in life, whether at home or any place or in the workplace, every form of activity we have, these elements show up intentionally in the design of that program. Even right to our house, the design of our house is such a way that you can't come into this house and not smile. You can't come to the compound and not smile. I don't mean laughter, but you must smile. There's something that stimulates you to just laugh or to smile. And with this design, it also signals and stimulates your mind to always be happy. So it's a culture that we have embraced, and the children, the household members know this is a culture. This is what we truly represent. Yeah.
Wow. This is so interesting. You know, researches of I've read like 3 researches that have gone round to interview people from different cultures, different ethnic groups, and all. And they keep saying one thing. They say that the very happiest couples have something in common. They have a shared vision or a shared purpose that they work together to achieve. And over here, I find a lot of people who, other than, oh, we love each other, I like the way he does his things, he's godly and all, they don't have anything more that keeps them together. So I want to ask you, how did you raise your children in this culture? What were the intentional things you did to keep this vision going? Because, you know, some people will write it on paper, but to execute becomes a challenge. How did you, or what are you doing to ensure that you live it every single day?
Like I said initially, that we are so purposeful and intentional about our programs and what to do and the scripting of our children. And right from when we got married, we had a minutes book, and we discussed about the kind of children we want to raise. I particularly, before I got married, write some notes about the kind of father I want to be to my children. And last 4 years, I brought that book, which has been for almost 25 years, and I read it to them. I said, your father you see today didn't behave this way because they gave birth to you. I have said this is how my children would describe me. And they were reading it with shock. So this intentionality was key to our raising these children. And so this vision was said, pass through how we communicate with them, how they communicate with people, the kind of schools they go, the prayer sessions, the Bible we read, the behavior we too as parents model, how we correct. So this is an entire institution that is strictly planned with a lot of intentionality and are designed to produce this behavior with vision. And there's a lot of work that went into it, in as much as we sit together to consistently meet and review each time, every month or every quarter, are we getting the results we envision? We feel sometimes, we make mistakes sometimes, and we get something so wrong, but because we always go to the drawing board to ask this question, is this becoming a reality? So we see the loopholes, we make the corrections, and then we learn to know how to become better parents to achieve those kind of parenting dreams and goals we have with the children. And part of it is also, as the children begins to grow, they become part of this process. We ask them questions, we give them tests to define how we reflect to them in the things that concerns them. And sometimes it's so funny, you know, with the kind of results they give to us, and we say, okay, how do we support you? in such a way you have inclusiveness in what we do. And this lot of feedback and feed forward gives us the sense where also we need to make adjustments. So it's an interactional and integrated approach in parenting.
Wow.
So Oga has spoken all the English. I'll just add small to it. So like he said, let me add some things. So when the children were younger and we had a family, this vision, we had crafted our family vision. This family vision I read to you is the, will I say, modified family vision. When we got married, we crafted a family vision, which wasn't exactly this. It had its own mission statement and values. And so in imbibing this to the children, part of our family culture was in the mornings before they even go to school, even when they were in nursery school, we have a culture of their dad blessing them. And then they would repeat the family vision and mission and core values. Just like how you naturally just say the national anthem, the national pledge, right? So even our 4-year-old child, our 5-year-old child, 6-year-old child knew what the family represented, okay? And we used that in terms of what we did. I can remember one story when our first daughter was 7 and we had a house help. And then I was working in the bank then. So over some time, the house help was giving me a complaint. We shared the story in our book, The ABC of Intentional Parenting, how our first daughter was not obeying her instructions. And I'll call her, talk to her. Then one day, it was just as if I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, tell her to recite the family vision, the family mission statement. And I called her 7 then. And I said, recite the family mission statement. And she started, we're a happy family where God is enthroned, love is unconditional, and a sense of belonging exists. We bring out the best in one another through selfless service to humanity. So I still remember this. This was our first mission statement before this updated one. So when she was reciting that, she got to we're a happy family where God is enthroned, love is unconditional, and a sense of belonging exists. I told her to pause. And I said, because part of, if you are going to stay in our home for more than 2 weeks, whether as a domestic staff, whether as a visitor, but you are going to have an extended stay, we do an induction program for you. And that induction program is to tell you our family vision, explain what it means, explain the family mission statement, explain the core values. Because if you're going to be here, you have to honor it. You can't be driving a car and then you are not acting with a sense of, love being unconditional. That's what our children are seeing it. So I said, from what you are doing to Antiogo, how are you modeling a sense of belonging? Do you think you're making her feel that she belongs by she telling you things and you're not doing it? And she said, no. I said, so you are not representing the family. So their behavior did not change automatically, but that sowed a seed, and progressively she became more respectful and obedient to the nanny, that even after she left our home, we still maintain a relationship. So I always say to parents that your family vision and values is the foundation for any training you are giving your child, discipline, cultural, sex education, whatever it is, right? And my hubby has said, we intentionally have family retreats. At the beginning of every year, every member of our family goes out on a retreat and out of the house, not at home. So so that it has to be intentional.
4 or 5 days.
So it's either we're going to a resort or to a hotel, but it's 4 to 5 days. And what are we doing? When our son is going to be 13 in September, but right from when he was 4 years old, he has a goals book.
Yeah.
Yes, he couldn't write well, but he would say what he wanted. The father would write. So every quarter we review that. And part of the review is, how are we living this vision? So we have an intentional learning curriculum where quarterly there's a topic that we're discussing as a family. Right now we're studying the book by John Allen, Getting Things Done. I will be reading that book for more than 2 months. Because it's not, because we have to read it small by small, explain. So
and infuse.
Do you understand? Because it's talking about stress-free productivity. So different times, and some of the ways we get the books we want to study or the subject matter we want to stay on is based on what is happening in the family. During COVID, we realized that, of course, the confinement, and then this one will say something, we said, no, we needed to talk about laws of teamwork. So we used the
John C. Maxwell
book on teamwork. So such things like that. As the children grew, we knew we needed to start talking about dating, courtship, and relationships, and we had over 3 months conversation on it, talking about LGBT, everything in between. And then looking at it from the framework of who are we as a family and what are our values. So it's a whole work. It's not that we're not saying we're perfect parents or we have a perfect marriage. We are just intentional to be proactive, more proactive than reactive. And even when the challenges present themselves, we don't get overwhelmed. We look at it, we know what to do, and we even get external help. There have been times our children have had coaches outside of us, have therapists outside of us because they needed to deal with certain things. I'm not going to say, oh, because I'm an intentional parent, why should my daughter be having an emotional issue? She's a human being, and I'm not the only influence in her life. So something might happen in school or some other person that needs therapy, we get her the therapy she needs because we need her to be whole. I'm not interested in being the perfect parent. I'm interested in raising a responsive, resilient, and resourceful child. And whatever it takes to get that, we will deploy all of our resources to get that.
Wow, I'm learning so much. Now, let me just buttress some of the things you said. You talked about intentionality. So you said you wrote the kind of father your children should be, like, write the vision, make it plain, that he may run, that that kind of thing. You made it clear. It was clear in your mind. You didn't dabble into parenting. You didn't come into parenting assuming that you'll be a good father because you would love them. You came in with a set goal, a vision. It was clear, it was stated. Then you talked about reviews, having quarterly reviews to look at what we are doing, how we are doing, what are we doing well, appraisal. You know, sometimes we do that for our workplaces, but for family, do we do that? We want to check our project, how the money we are putting in, are we making profits? We are checking all that, but we are not checking if the resources we are putting into our family, our time, our effort, and everything is producing the results we want. No wonder sometimes we wake up and it's like, this is not the family I envisaged, because we're not doing the work. You know, I have learned personally, because we have a family vision as well, but I don't think I have intentionally made my children recite it. So they are not reciting it like you have done with your own children. So I've learned that, in fact, not just my children, but everybody that stays with us and will stay with us in the future, we are going to be reciting that family vision together and all. Then there's also inclusiveness in what you do, because your children have a voice. They can come and say, oh, this is not done well, or we would prefer this to be done. You ask them for their input into the goals of the year for the family and all. That is so huge. And then the final point you made mention of was that that as you work together, you also bring in others to help here and there. You know, funny thing with Africa, we want to assume or feel that we are whole, and we feel like it's an embarrassment if we go and say, oh, we need help. So if we find couples who are struggling and they sit, they don't talk, they keep quiet, we should not share with third party. Now, a therapist coming in to help is not that kind of third party that goes around with your story and all. A therapist coming in when your child has an issue is not a third party. It's because you know where you are headed. You know that if we continue this way, we are not getting to where we need to get to. And you know, sometimes bringing in a neutral voice, even if you know what the person is coming to do, makes all the difference. So that's so powerful. I'm so glad that we had this conversation because I've learned certain things. My children are still young. My oldest is 10. But I'm learning so that by the time they are 15, I know what to do. I know, okay, if they have these kinds of issues, this is the person I'm going to be calling to have that conversation with them and all. So I want to ask you, because most of your children are teenagers now, or all are teenagers now. And then has there been any one of them that has resisted or objected to following the family culture?
Yeah, all of them resist most times or sometimes because as they grow awareness, they begin to point out that you are enforcing not this kind of behavior. And there was a particular time a family wants to visit us and they spend the weekend, and we call all of them. We said a family is coming, they want to stay with us, and they said they don't want. And they said they don't want because now they are teenagers, and what were their reasons? That they want to be left alone over that weekend to rest. They want to rest. Because people always come to our home, and is the cooking, is the cleaning, they say no, that they are not ready for it. And we respected that decision. And sometimes they also ask questions like, why must we do what you people say? I was okay, how do you want us to approach issue? They say we should also find out what they want. So this also changed the conversation on how we do our meetings. And we ask them, anytime we had something and you don't believe in it, you have the right to ask questions, the why, and we kindly explain. However, there's also sometimes we take the decision we ought to take, irrespective of their feelings, decision, because as parents, we also have that authority to also say, this is right for you, because your age, emotions, and pressure cannot be measured to where we are, having experienced the almost half a century of our lives. There's experience and things we know also they did not know, and so you are always going to see this back and forth when they are teenagers. But one of the key things that has always worked is that, like I said in the beginning, we have a goal, we have a vision, we have a mission, and we constantly repeat, not just because they have it there, we constantly repeat these goals, this vision, and this mission. And in most of our retreats, we call them to teach this vision while we listen to them.
Wow.
And it's in every room, the kitchen, anywhere in the house, this vision statement is hanging on the wall. So we hang it directly opposite the bed. So once you're waking up, the first thing you see when you turn on the light is this thing, is this vision, is this mission, and this core values.
Yeah, wow. So back to what you said, remember I said that our family vision is a modified one. When we crafted our first family vision, our first daughter was about 1 year plus, right? When we crafted, so they were all born into the old family vision, mission, and core values. But at some time, about in 2016, we came up with this modified one, because in 2016, they were growing. And so we wanted them to not just take on a vision, but let's all dream up. So what is the family we have now? So we asked them to describe if you had to describe your family, and everybody described. And that's how fun and creativity entered our core values. In the values Nedum and I crafted, there was no fun and creativity, not because we were not fun-loving people, but it wasn't a value per se, a core value. But when the children now came in and dreamt up the Dinma and Nedum vision that included them, they added fun and creativity, and we adapted it, because the one we brought, they also adapted. Because I have to also say to parents, the way you can model things to your children is by also they have a brain, they have a mind. Okay, so that came in. So that meant they were included. So now we are crafting, like we sit down and we craft, okay, what are we going to do intentionally to live this value of creativity? What are we going to do intentionally to live this value of competence, right? So there are monies allocated to anything we need to do along those lines. Again, the resistance will always be there because they are growing, they are forming their sense of identity. The most recent one I can remember was in terms of values. So one of our children also and then her personal value, because we must recognize that as they're growing as teenagers, they are forming their own personal values as much as their central family values. So one of our core values was privacy. And we did that value solicitation for her, all of them, when they were already teenagers. And that brought a conversation. So explain to me what privacy means to you and how are we as members of this family honoring your values? And the young girl said, you know, we are very expressive in our family. So maybe when we dance or do things, we post on social media or whatever. And she said, sometimes you post videos that I am in without asking me if I want to post those videos. So you're not honoring my value of privacy. It's not enough for me to say to her, but you know that our vision is that we are modeling bliss. How are we going to model bliss to people if we don't show that we're living the life? We accepted that is our value. And then progressively, if I want to post something, I have to ask permission. To say, wow, should I post this one? She'll say, yeah, go ahead. I know you post it. You just want to ask me. Or sometimes she'll say, no. And I honor that and keep it private so that she can also honor what I want. And then if I honor her value of privacy, there's no apparent risk. Nobody's losing anything, right? So in such ways, you're able to meet halfway. We dance this way, they dance this way. But when there are things that we need to put our foot down on, we also put our foot down on. However, we will explain why we are taking the stand we are taking. Sometimes they don't agree, sometimes they agree, but we ensure that we don't just force it down their throat. We will explain why we are doing it and why we are choosing to do it, irrespective of it not being the popular one that they want.
Wow, this is like so explicit. I love the fact that you also teach your children respect by respecting them, giving them a voice. You know, sometimes you find people struggling to have a say at workplace, in their own families. People trample on them and they're not able to have a voice because they didn't even have a voice growing up. But giving them that voice growing up is so powerful. Something happened interestingly with our kids. As small as they are, we moved from the town we were to a new place. And when we came here, we were looking for the church we attend. We attend Redeem, but we attend the youth. We were attending the youth version of Redeem because Redeem has the adult and the youth. When we came here, we didn't immediately see a youth parish. The parish we saw was an adult parish. We went there the first day. Immediately we finished service, we picked them up from the Sunday school and we were coming home. They looked at us and said, we will never go to that church again. And we were like, but this is the same church we are attending. You said, no, it's not the same. There's a difference. We don't want to go to that church. And they were dead serious, the both of them. So we came back home. The following Sunday, we woke up and we were dressing up to go to church. The both of them sat in the parlor and said, they are not going to church. Like they didn't dress up. They refused to prepare. Now, interestingly, my husband's niece who stays with us also joined them and said the church was not what they wanted, so she wasn't going to church. You know, we had to respect them and find a youth parish to attend so that they find a sense of belonging and it's like where they were living and all. So that ability to respect and to know where to draw the line, I think is crucial. Many people are not able to balance these two in their raising their children. They are either too hard or too permissive. And a parent is supposed to be kinder, smarter, but yet stronger. when we need to use that strength, we use the strength. When we need to listen, bargain, we are also teaching them negotiation skills that they will take into their future and use for various things. You know, that's like powerful, very powerful. So Ma, you said something about working in the bank. I know a little that you worked in the bank and later you left because of passion and what you were doing. Tell us a bit about that experience and how it influenced your family. What were the impact, initial and maybe like long-standing impacts they had on your family?
My days in the bank or my transitioning from banking? Which one?
Both. Both. Yes, both. Your days in the bank and when you made the transition.
Okay, I'll say my days in banking were basically for me to, gather experience. I've always known I would be doing what I'm doing now. Like prior to banking, I just knew I had this passion for people development, So I just like, okay, at least gain some experience and all that. And like my husband would say, I went into banking to overcome the fear of rejection. Like literally talking to people was like, you wanted to put like knife on my neck. But one significant thing I would like to share about my days in banking is the choices I made. So not incidentally, I'm intelligent, so I won't say it's incidentally. Interestingly is the word. So I went into banking as a fresh recruit, started my way from trainee banking officer. And then when we did the training, I came up as the top student for my training school in that year. And so the tradition then was, if you are the top in the class, you choose where you want to be deployed to, the department you want to be deployed to. So people were saying to me, this is your chance to hammer. You should choose Treasury department. And Treasury was on the island. And so I made a career choice even based on family. Because then I had a 3-month-old daughter when I went to training school. And I'm like, I don't want to be far away from home and be leaving on time. So I had to choose to work at a branch. Many people frowned at it because they thought that I just gave up a very good opportunity to advance in my banking career. But of course, I knew I wasn't going to be in bank forever. I'd given myself a 5 to 7 year stay in banking. And so I took on that job. And all through then, Hobby and I were already running our marriage ministry. And living this life of intentionality. And so some of the things I might say I felt then was kind of feeling some guilt that I wasn't always there with the children. But again, because of the systems and intentionality, I ensured that I took my leaves during holidays. So I wasn't that type of banker who would take leave when the children are in school so that they go to school and I can rest and do my things. As much as I could choose my vacation, my leave times, I put my leave times during holidays so that it gave me extra time with the children. And then we continued like that. And it was still with the banking that we're running all of these systems, doing our retreats, doing our quarterly stuff and all that. But then I thank God for, seeing the fruits of how it has paid off. And so when I wanted to transition out of banking, I also intentionally did that because I went for training, transitioned. And interestingly, my family is happier for my transition because I get to use my skills and tools at home. So if there's any training I've had, whether be it NLP, whether be it mediation, whether be it emotional intelligence, whether be it positive psychology or anything I've trained, my family is the first beneficiary. Because in those intentional learning moments that we have, I do trainings for them. So if my children can tell you all the presuppositions of NLP because they have learned it, they know it. So that my transitioning out of banking I think my family is the most beneficiary because they get to learn all of the tools and skills that I have because I teach it to them intentionally and we practice it.
All right, so let's take this a little further into finance. Now, knowing that you plan a lot of what you do as a family, how did you plan to manage finance? Because I know leaving the bank, you weren't going into another paid job that would probably match up the banking income and all. So how did you as a family plan your finance so that this loss of income here doesn't affect what happens in the home?
I'll just talk a little, then the chief financial planner will take over. So I always try to tell people and be upfront and truthful that you have to plan. If you're trying to leave paid employment to pursue anything, even if it's to build up a startup business or whatever, you need to sit down together and do the numbers. Because like you rightly said, when I left banking and established my practice as a family life practitioner, the funds coming from the business was not immediately commensurate to what I was earning in banking. But thankfully, it was a decision that I did not just unilaterally take. It was a decision we felt it was okay to take because Hobbies was largely in charge of the financial stuff of the family. So it was okay for me to transition in that manner because it did not really like shake up things, right? But in talking about that, over the years, the practice is growing and is also bringing its own part of the income, but still it's important to recognize that we recognized that Hobby was the major contributor to the family economy. So with respect to how we disburse funds and all of that, he will talk more about that because we're also big on budgeting and planning.
Yeah, like we consistently have been sharing anyway about intentional planning. And in our January retreat, we also ensure that the children have their budgets and we as a family have their budget. And even as the children are schooling now, they can tell you their budget and what their expenditure is for a year. And in this the last retreat, our son shouted, "Ah!" when he calculated everything that we spent on him being alive and healthy and flourishing. And they were just looking at us because they had to know that funds are allocated for you to enjoy either the school, the environment, and this is what your parents put up to give you this quality of life. So it was an eye-opening, though they do it regularly, but as they grow, they become more aware of what they are actually doing and the implication. So right from time, we always design our budget. And so funny, I show up to my wife my annual returns for the year of the company. So she's aware we made so and so, we'll spend so and so, this is our balance, this is our investment, right from day one of our marriage. Right from day one of our marriage. So it's not there's something I'm trying to hide from her, she doesn't know. So with this kind of transparency about also when she was in the bank, it gave us informed decision of what we could do, cope, and adjust. So it wasn't a problem. So some of the adjustments will also be, what are the pleasures we might reduce? What are the things we will curtail? So it was an inclusive decision. So when we are now running our budgets, she knows that we have stopped this and choose to spend less on this because the funds and the multiple streams of income that is coming has reduced. One of the major income has reduced. So this is something that we do together. And because of the transparency we show and the commitment to each other, it's not the commitment I have to myself, it's the commitment I have to the institution, the family institution. So this inclusiveness helps us to adjust and to know, okay, we can do this if you resign while we build the family life industry. And to God's grace, is growing. The impact is also there, and then from there we are good.
Wow, interesting. You know, you made mention of something, and I think a couple we interviewed 3 weeks ago also made mention of that. You said your commitment is to the institution, not just because you are married, but to the marriage institution. And I think I want to re-emphasize that a lot of people get married and they are committed to their partners alone. It's not sufficient. The institution is higher than how you feel part-time, because your feelings for your partner can be affected by one thing or the other, but your commitment is to the institution and you want to keep that commitment to that institution. I thought I should mention that. Then you said something, you talked about your financial transparency. We live in a time where people don't want to tell their partners how much they are earning. They say, if you tell your partner, or if you keep a joint account, this will go wrong. The person will take advantage of you and do that and do that. But again and again, research, like I like to study a lot and I like to know what's happening. Like if there's a research, I want to know, because I want to know what they have found out over the years. Now, over the years, research keeps pointing to this, that couples are happier when they are transparent with their money, when they have a common purse with their money, and then they are able to achieve more and to dream bigger. So imagine if everything you had was yours and everything she had was hers. Making that transition, she would be worried about how she would fund the practice she's going to start, what she will do about her own wardrobe and the training she wanted to do and all. But because you had a joint purse where this money's come into, you are able to sit down and say, okay, we can reduce this. You know, you are planning together. People can go to school easier and all. Is huge. And a lot of people miss out on that oneness financially in their relationship, because everybody's trying to protect themselves and all. I know that you have your differences with finance, and I want to hear about these differences, how you've also been able to use these differences to grow, because my husband and I have our differences when it comes to money, but we still put our monies together. A lot of people use those differences as the reasons they hide instead of utilizing. So I want to find out how you have utilized your differences when it comes to money management.
Yeah, like we said, the challenges will always come. And there was a time, I think, we traveled for a vacation, and she was working in the bank then, and our usual pattern is to budget what we will spend. And she had the card and everything, and she would go to shopping while I was with the children, come back, she bought 3 watches. I see, and I like, 3 watches for what? Did we agree we are going to buy 3 watches? He said, he went to the shopping mall. He saw that they were doing promo, that it was on sale. Buy 2 and you get 1 free. And like, is it what we discussed? We said 1 watch. How are you buying 2? You know, so there was a retreat we went for we go to retreat, not just we plan for people, we too go to retreats. And one of the questions is, what is your fear? And I was honest with her, I'm afraid sometimes on how you spend out of budget. I'm afraid. And I narrated some of these incidents to her and said, I'm afraid. I'm just honest, I'm afraid. And she looked at me like you say, you know, when you love your partner and you are committed, you adjust. The same way there are certain things you say, I just adjust. So in our family setting, my wife will go to the market then, and even up to now, and I'll ask, this thing you bought, how did you buy? What is the budget? You say, do not write anything. Do you get it? But if you ask me for the 19 years of our marriage, all the money we spent, I can produce it to you today, every year. This is the total, this is what we spend. This is, so we are playing to our strengths. We are playing to our strength. So when it comes to budgeting and all those things, that's your strength to write the budget to. And with love, I have the respect to say, okay, I draw the budget, I present the budget, then she looks at it, makes a judgment, then I'm responsible for writing blah, 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 and all those things. And this is how the thing works. We don't have the same strength in this relationship. We don't have the same strength. So when it comes to fun, before we got married, don't tell me to dance, to party. I was about work, make money, work, make money, work, make money. So my family people are so surprised that what has he turned their son into? They're like, this is not our brother, this is not our son.
They don't corrupt them.
So that blend, that blend is what that makes this thing beautiful. So we are not fixated to our natural inclination because we are creatures and creators of habits. And since we believe and trust, we know that this partner is competent in this area. So there's a submission of whoever it is to the competent person to handle that area.
Wow, fantastic. Ma, you have anything to add?
Nothing to add, though. Like Oga has said everything in terms of finances, the one that keeps the records to the later. And then again, all through the marriage, that used to be one of the things we were working on. I would often get angry when maybe we have a budget for the family expenses monthly, and sometimes as inflation happens and all that, I'm like, oh, this budget is no more working, we need to increase the budget. It's like, where are the records? How did you spend the money? I don't have any records. Like, I saying I had the money. I use the money for family upkeep. But you are supposed to keep records if you want to make an argument for increment. So sometimes I will get angry then to say, like, so what are you saying? So are you saying that what I'm saying is not genuine, or that I had the money, or I'm just asking for anyways, the long story, later I got to find out I had some money limiting beliefs because of some things that had happened around money. So I was very touchy about money. I think I should even mention it since it's related to marriage. So somewhere along the line, remember, we started from the prayer meeting. So there used to be this brother who thought that he was going to build a life with me. And so when Hobby and I became an item and then leading to marriage, he like spread the rumor that he had asked for me to date him for Hobby, but I did not follow him. I followed Hobby because Hobby was more promising financially. So you know how unconscious decisions. It was later when I saw how I was very touchy about money issues with him that I did all of those work and found out that I actually had taken an unconscious decision to prove to the world that I was not in this marriage for money. So that also affected how I talk to my Hobby. Will always say that I hardly ask for money. Like whatever money you provide, we use it like that. If it finishes, we'll be managing. Because I didn't want to, that unconscious thing made me know, I was literally proving to the world, I don't know which world, that it was not about money. But so anyways, over time I worked on that. But when it comes to money accountability, give it to my husband. Like, he has it on up until now. Me, I don't keep records at all. The only record that can help me is my bank statement. And sometimes I don't even know what I did with the money, because you will see maybe withdrawn by me, but then withdrawn to do what? But he has come to accept that if that is one of the flaws of this woman, he will manage the flow and be enjoying the others.
As you spoke, I was just laughing because with my husband and I, is the opposite. He's the one who spends in fact, when money comes in, he just sends it to my account. If he happens to hold the money, my heart is in my mouth. I am laughing, but my heart is also beating. I say, hey, this money. Then there are times he will suggest, let's go to the mall or let's go to the market. And I'll ask him, I say, okay, is it from that money we are going to the market? Say, yeah, so what are we going to buy? Because he doesn't have a list. he will go to the market, and you know that kind of thing. You follow your emotions. When you go to the market, you see this, you say, it's cheaper today than it usually is. Why not we get it now? Do we need it? Is it a priority right now and all? So we also have that challenge, and it's something we keep working on. But I appreciate him for one thing. He's open to just like send the money to my account. Sometimes even when he does a job and he's about to be paid, he doesn't send his own account number. He could just send my own account number straight, so that the money comes in and it comes straight to me, since I am the manager of the house. But then when it comes to fashion, he's so good. He knows fabric, he knows how to combine colors and all. So for purchases, our children's clothes, my own clothes, most of it, he does it. It makes him feel good to do that. So those kind of monies go to him for him to do that. And it's just so beautiful. I wish that a lot of people will look inwards and see those things they would usually call problems and begin to use them, especially when it comes to finance, to make the home balance and all. Our conversation has really been interesting today. I want us to wrap up, but not before I ask you a question. You talked about real estate. I know you are currently doing a project. You call it family-centric estate. And in your family vision, you said that when you build homes, even the way your house is, it encourages the vision you have in your home. It gives it expression, so that as you come in, the ambience in the house make you already feel the fun that is in the atmosphere. And you are building an estate you call family-centric estate. I want to know about this estate. What is it? What is the estate going to be doing? How is it family-centric? What's the difference between this estate and other estates that are out there?
Okay, thank you for that. So yes, Ultra Bliss Homes is a real estate development company that is poised to providing family-friendly homes and building communities. So I will just start with this, your last question. How will it be family-centric? You know that in our African culture, one of the most popular sayings when it comes to parenting is that it takes a village to raise a child. So Ultra Bliss Homes is literally systemizing that proverb, creating communities where it will take a village to raise a child. Because we say that, but we are living in communities with our high rises and all of that. Nobody is safe to release their children. So what we are developing are miniature communities, right? Where people can live, first of all. Secondly, the amenities in Ultra Bliss Homes developed projects are intentional. Like our maiden project, the Serenity Court 1, we had to sacrifice a whole unit to increase the green space and the play zone in the estate. I mean, selling one unit is going for millions of naira, but because of the vision of that, we took that out of the plan so that communities who live there do not have to stay inside their homes from morning till night, because sunlight is even important for your well-being. So there's a space created where you can come out, sit down in the greens, play with your children, connect with your neighbors, tap into that communal connection that we are so afraid of now because nobody knows who. Other amenities are also in our estates. In addition to that, people that are beneficiaries of Ultra Bliss Homes, family-centric estates, have access to family, how would I put it, educational materials. So monthly, they get a newsletter. They are also able to sign up for quarterly webinars, where even if it's not us, it's other family experts who are coming to talk about parenting, talking about intimacy in marriage, talking about all of that. So that's part of what they get. And because also we belong to a pool of family systems engineering practitioners who have diverse niches, they also get some discounted rates to therapies and coaching for their family well-being. So aside from the environment we are creating in the communities, we also are offering psychosocial support to them for their family well-being. So that is what makes Ultra Bliss homes family friendly, the environment and the support that they get.
And also in the investment side, also we offer opportunities for people who wants to invest, either as an individual, organization, or as a family. Because no matter what your vision and mission is, finance is a big resource that makes it happen. So we're not just saying this environment is designed. You need to have financial muscle, to able to cater for those things where money plays a major role. So we also have an investment opportunities that enables families, individual or corporation to invest even in the real estate with good returns, yields, and opportunities to not just invest now, but also for the future. So we are looking at family wholeness as a whole, whether be it the physical, the finance, or the psychosocial support. We are looking at holistically on how to make family living and wholesomeness something possible as much as we can. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. As you spoke, I'm like, oh, where's this located? Where is this located in Nigeria? How can one plug into this? Where is it located?
Yeah. So our two projects that are ongoing are in the Lekki Scheme 2, Lekki Peninsula off Abraham Adesoya, Ajah, Lagos. Of course, with dreams that in the future we're going to expand beyond Lagos to other parts of Nigeria and Africa, but we're starting with Lagos. And our current, we have two projects ongoing, and both of them are in the Lekki Scheme 2 of Abraham Adesoya, Ajah, Lagos.
Wow, this is so amazing. Like, we've lost that communal living. We live in where I live is an estate, a mini estate. The children rarely come out to play. Everybody's inside their houses, and we've lost that thing that made us Africans initially, where you knew about your neighbor. If you were leaving your children, you were sure that they would be safe because your neighbor will check on them and all. And having that, creating that, I think it would be a valuable place. And then a lot of people have issues. They don't even know where to go for support. So having a place where they can go for support for family issues and other kinds of challenges is so huge. Thank you so much. I want to thank you, Dinma and Nedum Nwobi, for making out time to be with us, to sharing your wealth of wisdom with us. I know there's so much that we would have asked you about how you manage your in-law relationship and all, but we hope that there will be another time when we have this conversation again and we'll be able to look at certain things that we've not been able to tackle today. Thank you so much for your time and for being here.
Thank you for having us, and regards to hobby and the children. And thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, listener, for being here with us today. I'm sure you have learned a lot from this couple. And I want you to leave a comment, say something about what you have learned, share it so that other people can get to know what you are learning in this place. And then, of course, this show is open for sponsorship. If you want to sponsor Rings That Bind, we are open to have that conversation with you. Just send us a message and we'll get back to you. Have a blessed evening